Chapter 3, Diatonic Chords within the minor key. Now, just as we constructed a set of diatonic chords for the major key, we can also construct a set for the minor key. But the situation is a little more complicated in minor because there are three different forms of minor, as you recall: the natural, the harmonic, and the melodic. The most useful scale for constructing these harmonies is the harmonic minor scale. Harmonic minor for harmonies. And here's a look at it here. Don't forget that the harmonic minor has a raised leading tone. That's the 7th scale degree has been raised. And this alteration lends extra power for some harmonic progressions. It creates a half-step motion from the 7th degree back up to the tonic. And we'll use this alteration when constructing triads that tend to progress back to the tonic chord, like the 5 chord and like the 7 chord. The 5 chord progresses back to tonic because of its strong 5th relationship, and the 7 chord progresses back to tonic because of its close half-step proximity to the tonic chord. In this chart, the chord tone 3rd of the 5 chord and the root tone of the 7 chord have been raised to B natural. But note that the 3 chord in the chart here does not contain the alteration of B natural because that chord really doesn't normally progress back to tonic. The primary chords in minor are the 1, the 4, and the 5, just as in major. But of course with these different chord qualities, the 1 chord being minor, the 4 chord being minor, and the 5 chord being major when you're in a minor key. Take note of all the interesting chord varieties that are in this minor key. Now, you can expand this set by considering the other forms of the minor scale. But the triad qualities shown here are the most common and standard ones. Another way to organize the chords is by their quality. So take a look at this chart. Each chord is associated with its Roman numeral positions in both the major and the minor scales. And take a look in this chart that both the major and the minor keys have a major triad on the 5th scale degree and a diminished triad on the 7th scale degree. So those 2 points of a scale, the 5 and the 7, remain constant in quality, whether you're in a major key or a minor key. You can go ahead and do Check Your Understanding 3.1 to see if you can write different chords, different chord Roman numerals in different keys. Let's go back and look at the chart on page 15. Here's the chart of all of the chords in the key of C minor, and we use this chart to figure out what the qualities of the chords are. Now the key of C minor has 3 flats, and we had to raise the leading tone for the 5 chord and also the 7. But what I'd like to do is push ahead a little bit to page 17, which is the first page of your homework. Because the first example there, which has already been completed for you, is the key of A minor. And that's a really simple key. It's got no sharps and no flats. So we should be able to see these chords rather clearly. Notice again that the 5 chord has the raised leading tone in that middle note, the 3rd. And the 7 chord also has got the raised leading tone as the root of the chord. So we want to be very clear about what these chord qualities are because they're going to be the same in any minor key. The first chord, there's the A minor chord, which is minor. Do you remember the little trick we used for major? We can count the half steps. 3, 4. 3 half steps plus 4 half steps equals minor. And the first chord of any minor key is going to be minor. So you memorize this little chart, and then you've got the quality of the chords in every minor key. The next chord is diminished. Remember the formula for diminished is 3 half steps and 3 half steps. 3 plus 3, because it's a minor third and a minor third. The next chord, the 3 chord, do you hear it? It's major, the 3 chord in a minor key. Let's count the half steps. 4 half steps, 3 half steps, 4 plus 3. And the 4 chord is minor. 3, 4. And the 5 chord, that's the one where we have to raise the leading tone, because that's the 7th note of the scale. And if you do that, you get 4 plus 3, which is major. And then we go to the 6th chord, major again, 4 plus 3. And then when we get to the 7th chord, we have to raise the leading tone again, and it's 3 half steps and 3 half steps, makes it diminished, and the 1 chord, of course, is the same. What a lot of people like to do is just sort of memorize, where are the minor triads? The 1 and the 4. Where are the major triads? The 3, the 5, and the 6. And where are the diminished triads? The 2 and the 7. And that will be true of any minor scale. Now let's take a moment and look at page 17. This is actually one of the pages of your homework. And we're going to do one of these together. A few of them have already been done. This is where we're writing out all of the chords in a minor key. So take a look at this one, for example. This is the key of A minor. A minor is a nice, easy key. It's the same key signature as C major, so there are no sharps and no flats. But when you get to the 7th scale degree, notice it's been raised. So this is harmonic minor, and that's the scale we use to create harmonies. The only 2 chords you need to be concerned with when you're raising that pitch is the 7 chord, you raise the root, and notice that that G sharp is also contained in the 5 chord. So the 3rd of the 5 chord also gets raised when you're writing these charts. We don't bother raising this upper, the 5th note of the 3 chord, because that is not a chord that normally goes back and resolves back to a 1 chord. So let's see how this works if we do it together. I'm going to go all the way down to number 5 on this sheet, so you can do this one with me. This is part of your homework. And we're starting on an F. And so the pitch F means that we're going to write this in F minor. So the first thing you do is write a key signature for F minor, which is 4 flats. And then go ahead and stretch out an F minor scale. Give yourself lots of room. Use the whole staff to write it all the way up. Now, because it's harmonic minor, we're going to raise the 7th scale degree. This is a B flat. I'm sorry, this is an E flat. So raise it to E natural. And then we'll write the triads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. And the other thing we have to do is when we get to the 5 chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we need to take the 3rd of the chord, the middle note, because that's also the leading tone. Notice that's the same pitch. And we need to raise that. So those are the 2 alterations that you make whenever you write a set of chords in a minor key. Now, back here, and on previous pages, you already learned what the qualities of these chords are, because it's going to be consistent. The 1 is minor, the 2 is diminished, the 3 is major, the 4 is minor, the 5 is major, the 6 is major, the 7 is diminished, and the 1 is minor. So you can figure them all out here if you want to and figure out all of these chords, but it's going to be the same set. That's going to be 1 minor, 2 diminished, 3 major. Notice I put the line on the top and bottom to show the major Roman numeral to make it really clear. 4 minor, 5 major, 6 major, 7 diminished, and then 1 minor. And for the pop symbols, as we did with the major keys, we just take the root tone of the chord and write that here, F, and if it's minor, we write minor. Here, G, and if it's diminished, we write a diminished sign. A flat, make sure you're checking against the key signature. As I told you before, it's not a bad idea to go through here actually and fill in all the pitches that would be, I should not have filled that one in, but A flat and E flat and B flat and D flat. These are all notes that are actually black notes on the keyboard. And that can help a little bit when you're trying to figure out what notes you've written. This is an A flat major. We don't write anything, and it's all, for pop symbols, it's always assumed that it's major. This is B flat minor. This is C major. This is D flat major. This is E diminished, and then back to F minor. So those are really pretty easy to do. It's the same qualities that you wrote with the Roman numerals. Let's go ahead and look on page 16. This is the Check Your Understanding 3.1. What you should do is try this on your own first, and then come back to this video and check to make sure that you've done it correctly. Okay. So the first thing I need to do is write in the key of C minor, the chord that should be on the 4th scale degree. As always, I like to use a piece of scrap paper. So on my scrap paper, I'm going to go ahead and write the key signature in the treble clef of the key of C minor. Notice you need to know your minor key signatures here. So if you don't remember them, you need to go back and practice them and drill a little bit so that they're nice and fluent. Otherwise, that'll really hang you up. So the key of C minor is 3 flats. The 4th scale degree, I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I can write the triad. And in referring to the charts that you've written, you know that the 4th scale degree is minor. So you can write it as a minor Roman numeral. And of course it is an F, so you can say that that's an F minor chord. Also check the key signature and notice that the flat that you would need is the A flat, especially since you're going to take that chord and write it here without a key signature. You're going to want to make sure to bring that flat down. So it's the same chord I'm writing here, and I'm putting the flat that I got from the key signature and the labels, the 4 chord, and I can say that's an F minor chord. All right, let's try the next one. This is the key of F minor. So I need, in the bass clef, a key signature for F minor, which is 4 flats. And I need to get scale degree 7, so I can count up 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Do you remember also that another way to get 7 is to count backwards? So I could start from the higher F and go down 1. In other words, count 8, 7. In either case, I would end up on E. Don't forget, in a minor key, the 7th note of the scale, because it's harmonic minor, needs to be raised. In this case, E flat needs to be raised to E natural. That's one of the chords that needs a raised leading tone. Then I can fill in the other pitches, the G and the B flat. Notice that this key signature calls for a B flat. And then I can take this and transfer it over here. E, G, B flat. Now technically I don't really need to write the natural here because I didn't write the key signature, but as long as it's really clear that the notes that you have here are E, G, and B flat, then the answer will be correct. This, of course, is the 7th note of the scale, so I write a Roman numeral 7, diminished. Its root tone is E, so I can write E diminished. Let's keep going. This is the key of G minor. The key of G minor has 2 flats. 1, 2, and I'm going to write this 5th scale degree of G minor. So watch me count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I write the entire triad. Don't forget, on the 5 chord in a minor key, you need to raise that middle note because that's the leading tone of the G scale, would be F sharp. So we place the sharp on that. Okay, just to review, it's both the 5 chord and the 7 chord of a minor key that you have to be concerned with raising the leading tone. So now we take that and put that here. D, F sharp, and A. and we label that as a 5 chord. It's a major chord, or the pop symbol is D. One more, this is the key of F sharp minor in the bass clef. F sharp minor has 3 sharps. And I'm going to count scale degree 2, so I'll start with F sharp and say 1, 2, and then write the triad. Take a look at the key signature and notice that the G sharp will need to be written when I write it down here. So now I'm going to just transfer this down here. G sharp, B, and D. This is the 2 chords, so I'll write 2. Remember that the 2 chords are diminished in a minor key. You should memorize the quality of all the chords in a minor key. And then G sharp, diminished. Let's talk about the alternate triads in minor, because as you know, there are 3 versions of the minor scale: the natural minor, the harmonic minor, and the melodic minor. And because of this, the number of triads that are possible in a minor key is sometimes expanded from the standard harmonic minor set that we've already talked about. Most of these additional triads come about as a result of a melodic pattern in one of the voices that is following either the ascending or the descending melodic minor scale. In this chart here, all the possible triads in melodic minor are shown. The triads that are different from our standard harmonic minor set are indicated with an asterisk. Now, while these triad qualities are not as common, you will encounter them in musical literature, and they're provided here for your reference.